Welcome to Rock, Paper, Shotgun, or as I should probably call it today, Shotgun, Shotgun, Shotgun. We're going into combat to explore the new war stories, the single-player campaign in Battlefield 5. It's an idea that returns from Battlefield 1, splitting the game into a series of short character-focused missions that whip you from Norwegian mountains, to muddy airfields, to this lovely forest. These woods are the start of the Tirailleur war story, which tells the tale of French Senegalese soldiers and also serves as a showcase for some impressive leaf-blowing effects. Battlefield 1's war stories were the start of a good idea, but often felt like glorified tutorials for guns and vehicles you'd use in multiplayer. A hint of that remains, but having played all the way through one story, Nordlys, and pieces of two others, Under No Flag and Tirailleur, I'm feeling hopeful. Although focusing on lesser known parts of World War II, it's a cinematic romp. You'll be skiing like James Bond, playing with very overpowered throwing knives, and enjoying banter that reminds me of Battlefield Bad Company. I know that war is a serious business, but this is surprisingly fun, as I'll explain as we tour the best features in Battlefield 5 so far. We've even got a little bit of ray tracing to show off, just in case any billionaires are watching and have spent their entire fortune on one of Nvidia's RTX cards. Of course, before we charge into the line of fire, I would ask that if you're enjoying this video as we're going along, why not click the upwards thumb and subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun as we proceed. I promise that the sub button isn't a secret army conscription button. You can press it and see for yourself. And now, to war. Let's kick off with Nordlys, which is about a resistant fighter called Solvik in occupied Norway trying to save someone. I'm not entirely sure who she was trying to save, as the cutscenes were unfinished, so I skipped them. What I do know is that the opening infiltration mission really reminds me of GoldenEye on the N64. Something about big snowy facilities and lots of gormless guards that don't know you're there whisks me right back to 1997. Obviously, graphics have come on a bit in 21 years. There are probably more polygons in Solvik's knitted glove than there was in the entirety of GoldenEye's dam level. Sadly, my game skills have not improved in 21 years, as I fall off the bridge while trying to look into the gorge below. I have a license to be killed, it seems. Like GoldenEye, this new war story gives you the freedom to go in loud or take it slow. Here you can hide under the cover of night and perform horrible death animations on anyone silly enough to turn their back on you. Or you can line up your incredibly deadly throwing knives to take out one guy as you bury the hatchet in his friend. Even Bond would be impressed with that. The Secret Service vibe only increases when I collect a silenced pistol and start pulling off those clean headshots. I have no idea what the sound effect is, but the metallic ka-ching that signifies a clean skull hit is one of the most satisfying in gaming. It's up there with the stud noise from the LEGO games. It's just nice to have a first-person stealth experience that isn't scripted to within an inch of its life. Ever since Call of Duty's All Gillied Up mission, it's as if designers have been afraid to let us off the leash, choreographing every kill to the second. This is the kind of sandbox I can see myself wanting to mess around in and try even more careful runs. It's a throwback to a messier era of first-person shooters, and I welcome it. Part of the stealth appeal hinges on Solvik's amazing throwing knives and the ability to magically see marked targets through the walls, something that only happens in war stories before you start getting nervous about multiplayer. Tracking these big white blobby enemies is kind of unnerving, like you're hunting the Michelin Man. And you don't want to be stabbing that guy, he's made of tyres. Just think of the noise. The knives are amazing, so fast that you can bury one in a skull and line up the next shot as their friend reacts to your first kill. Time it right and you can do more in a row, wiping out entire platoons before they even realise you're there. This is particularly handy in Solvik's second level, as she's stripped of weapons and forced to survive a harsh night. Running between fires reminded me of the Snowblind level in Bad Company 2, where you dash between heat as you descend a mountain. It's a short but satisfying bit of cat and mouse, and once you've armed yourself again, I would say the gloves are off, but they're technically on as you wear these delightful knitted hand warmers. As a side note, I'm actually really taken with Solvik's gloves. There's a Norwegian concept called hygge, which relates to all things cozy. These gloves are very hygge, apart from when they're killing people with an axe. Although Norwegians are also very good at murders, see the wonderful books of Joe Nesbo, so I guess this level is ticking all the Norway boxes. If the opening act of Nordlys teaches you the freedom of approach, then the third act blows it up on a vast scale. A mountainside with so much ground to cover it gives you a pair of skis. There are 3 targets to take down and miles of pristine snow to carve up between them. Instead of feeling like a gritty war story, it feels like the opening to another James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me. Look, you can even ski along the rooftops to reach sniping positions. There's no way the real Norwegian resistance had this much fun. Okay, so I wasn't very Bond-like to begin with. There was the time I skied into a Nazi's back garden and forgot the key to remove the skis and had to try and make a very slow escape while being pelted with bullets. And there was also the time I dramatically carved my way into the same garden, pulled my gun and then got scared and went to hide in the cupboard under the stairs, like Harry Potter with an MP40. Not my proudest moment. But when you get your head around it, you can pull off some deliriously pleasing hit and runs, swooping down a pier, skiing past enemies before they've had a chance to spot you, and legging it on the boat to stab up some naughty barrels before hopping over the side of the boat and back onto the skis to make a dramatic escape. As you zip down frozen streets to slide into warehouses, unleash some explosive chaos and make a quick escape, it feels like the moments of madness that define the best multiplayer experiences. A big part of online's appeal is when you get to combine vehicles and the vast scale of the map and pull off a ludicrous act of heroism. Again, it's the kind of thing that most games have to script. It would have been so much easier to just dump you on the rails. It's actually telling that the least exciting bit of this level happens at the end, where the game is slightly more scripted. We're not allowed to show you it, but it feels limited compared to the freedom of plotting your own action movie, and without the threat of better players shooting you in the head while you do it. It's exactly what I want from a Battlefield campaign. The spirit of fun continues into the second war story I try, Under No Flag, a campaign built around a British unit. You can tell that Brits are involved because it's raining. After the lone wolf resistance of Nordlys, this campaign is more of a team effort and actually ends up feeling like a historic version of the Bad Company games. Those games were a more chaotic take on warfare compared to the mainline Battlefield series, with expendable cannon fodder getting themselves into silly trouble. Instead of focusing on the legitimate side of the army, Under No Flag involves a band of Churchill's secretive special forces, a group that could act off the books and was made up of criminals and mercenaries. You play as Billy Bridger, a bank robber enlisted into the unit for his gifts with explosives. As you can hear from the cutscene, it's slightly saltier than the other war stories.
I've got a little deal for you. I'm putting together a unit. You're gonna fucking love it. It's right up your street, your sort of thing. And it's got to be better than being in there.
The mission itself is a simple trip to blow up some Stuka planes on an airfield, but you've got an AI companion to exchange one-liners with.
I'm sick. I'm chucking me guts up over here. Oh. And you're just strolling off. Oh, Bridger, liven yourself up. Come on. There's a lovely little ice cream shop down there, and I'm treating you to a cornet.
I'm not as instantly sold on Mason as I was Haggard, Sweetwater and the gang, but it's nice to meet another person you don't have to put a bullet in. Although you will only spend an hour or so in each war story, so it's not like we're going to have time to get too attached. And it seems to welcome a louder approach. Instead of silent pistols and throwing knives, you're more open to out-and-out gunplay, though this is only one act of the story and things don't really escalate to anything too tricky. That said, I definitely felt more comfortable hopping on the gun turrets than I did in the hushed night of Nordlys. It's another massive level that lets you tackle it as you want, although I would like to see the action build to some crazy climax befitting the characters. Time will tell if it delivers, but for now I'm happy to chuckle at the dumb jokes in the cutscene.
I'm telling you now, these special explosives of yours, they better be really fucking special.
Wait for it.
Bridger.
I'm checking out.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Sweet Jesus. Here we are. up Fritz's shitter, and I ask you to do one thing. One fucking thing that you tell me that you're a big expert
Can I
in.
just say
No, you
then-
can't, because what the fucking hell was that?
I've occasionally had teething problems.
Teething problems? Don't make me fucking laugh. I could have done that with a fucking light breeze, a speck of rain, or a tiny teeny bird perched on that wing would have done more damage.
Annoyingly, another bit of the game I can't show to you is the prologue to War Stories, which is a shame as it's quite interesting. So you'll have to enjoy some action from the Tirailleur campaign as I quickly go through it. The prologue is not dissimilar to Battlefield 1's opening in the way that it quickly shows many different Battlefield perspectives in succession, but where Battlefield 1 jumped around a single trench warfare encounter, capturing the insane amount of death, the prologue here jumps around the world, showing the global scale of World War II. If you were being cynical, you could say that it's just 6 tutorials in one. You start with a generic infantryman rushing enemy positions, but are quickly whisked to tank combat in Libya, sniper combat in Algeria, and some aerial dogfighting far above Germany. In a way, it's almost like a snapshot of many simultaneous war stories, and serves as an advert for everything Battlefield 5 is setting out to do. It also has some very serious voiceover from Mark Strong, who has one of those voices made for rousing war speeches. In many ways, it actually makes me think of the introduction to the Forza Horizon games. It's a very different vibe, obviously. Those games are about how fun it is to sit inside fast bits of metal, and Battlefield is about how horrible it is having fast bits of metal inside you. But the idea is the same. Take everything that defines your game, in this case a variety of vehicles and those vast globe-trotting playgrounds, and pack them into a tight 10 minutes. You may only ever play it once, but I love seeing developers push their best work into one condensed blast at the start. Battlefield 5 doesn't hide the goods, and it's better for it. I also had the chance to try the game on a new Nvidia GeForce RTX card, which lets you employ ray tracing technology. I'm not a hardware guy in the slightest, but I understand that ray tracing allows for accurate reflections and travel of light, something that is usually faked with rendering trickery. You can see it best here in the way the bright flames are correctly reflected in the gun barrel. All together now. Ooh, ah. If you see the game without ray tracing, the effect is simulated in a much broader way. The gun turns orange instead of showing what happens in real time. Now, you can check out our friends at Digital Foundry for the more scientific breakdown of how DICE use the tech, but I just went looking for practical uses of it in this demo. What with all the frost, there's not many polished surfaces to reflect the world, so my time was largely spent exploding barrels. My god, I exploded a lot of barrels. I must have spent 10 minutes shooting barrels and just watching the flames die in the reflection on my gun. I also saw it in the reflection on some ice, which is more impressive. You can really see the shape of the flame isn't being faked. At one point, I stole a lorry and drove it into place so I could blow it up and look at more fire. I'd begun to worry that ray tracing was bad news for the Norwegian resistance, because instead of, resisting, I was just skiing around setting things on fire. The Nazis are probably thinking, this girl hates our barrels more than she hates us. I will say that on the RTX card, the performance was choppier in many places. You can see the frame rate hiccups when it really kicks off. They're still working on polishing it up in time for release. This demo was being shown in 1440p, which is already a step up from the 1080p ray tracing demo at Gamescom. Personally, I'm not sure if the effect is worth the stutters, and if you have to go looking for a visual effect, it's not really that immersive, is it? But maybe this is just a strange level to demonstrate it. If you've seen the puddle and window reflections in the Rotterdam map from Gamescom, you'll know that the RTX is capable of much more. It has strategic purpose too, as you can see around corners and behind you, but here on the mountain it does feel like an expensive way to get shinier flames. And that's a very quick tour of the war stories we've played. I came away with the sense that this is a more confident team. The general idea of short stories was well established in Battlefield 1, but the stories they're telling here are a bit more interesting, and brought to life with levels that give you more space to breathe and make your own fun. I know World War II isn't meant to be a barrel of laughs, but there's a sense of big, bold heroism here that I enjoyed playing part of, and I really do like those Norwegian gloves. If you have any questions about what I've talked about in the video or things I've not covered, please do write them in the comments and I'll do my best to find some answers. And if you made it all the way to this bit, I hope you enjoyed what you've seen. If you have, it would be great if you subscribed to the channel and gave the video a thumbs up. Even better, why not flick through the channel playlists and see what else we've been up to? Hopefully there's something you like. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye for now.